Welcome back. I guess this is my very first two-parter episode of the year. And what we're going to be doing today is we're going to continue exactly where we left off. So we just ended up adding modulus to our program so that when we click, our program ends up changing colors and cycles through the colors using our if statement. What we're going to do next is we are going to kind of do change these to circles and try to check to see if when two circles intersect. And we can do this pretty easily, but we also need to do a little bit more in the math library. So, in order to determine if two circles intersect, we need to know a couple things. We need to know how far the center points are from each other. The good thing is, we learned this in Algebra 2. We ended up learning the or even earlier than that, probably. But we have to know the distance formula. That's the only thing that's going to be a little mathy in here. But the square roots and powers can be really hard to do, especially if you don't know the command. So we're going to be utilizing the math library in this. So, in order to know a little bit about circles, we need a few pieces of information. Circles require x1, y1, so that's our first x center point, or first point that we're going to grab of our circle, and it also requires a radius. Those are the three things that we need to know for a circle. So, the other things we need to know are x2, y2, r2, d2, and an x-wing. Now, those last two are jokes. I'm sorry. I'm bad. But the idea behind these are we need these 6 pieces of information. So let's go ahead and go with x1, and I'm just going to randomly assign it right now because x1 is going to be our moving circle. So we're going to do y1 is equal to 0, but the radius does matter. So I'm going to set this one equal to 100. Our second circle is going to be a static one that we're going to check to see if it intersects. So I'm just going to put this out at 100, 100, and I'm going to make the radius is equal to 50. Now, coming in here, we're going to change a few things. This is no longer going to be a rectangle. We're going to make this an oval. And I'm going to be using x1 and y1. The radius, though, this right here is a diameter, so we're going to need a radius times 2. Same with this one, radius 1 times 2. And I'm going to draw the static one as well. So I'm going to do fill oval x2, x2, radius 2 times 2, radius 2 times 2. So the last thing I need to do is this one here, where we're actually changing 1 at that particular point in time. So let's run this. All right, so I have a big circle and it intersects. Perfect. That's all I wanted to know. And if I still click, I can still change the colors of both of these. In here, we need to check to see if they intersect right after we update the x coordinate of one of them. The way that we're going to be doing this is we need to know what the center x is. When we draw these, we are not drawing x1 and y1 do not represent the center. It actually represents the top left of where the circle begins. Kind of like a square. It has a binding rectangle to it. So we need to adjust these points to the center. The great thing is we have the radius. If we add the radius to x1 and y1, we'll get the center of that circle. So we're going to make some temporary variables. So we'll call this one center x1. And basically it's x1 plus r1. And center y1 equals y1 plus r1. And we'll need to do this for the other circle as well. Boom. Bang. By the way, the sound effects are required. So make sure that you're doing those as well when you program. It makes it so much more enjoyable. So now we have the center point and the radius. That's all I need to determine I just got a message. Woo! All we need to do is to determine the distance the two centers are. So the way we're going to do that is we're going to click on double, and we are going to do, we're going to be doing distance. I will call it distance here. And this is where we're going to be using the math library. You do not need to know how to calculate square root without doing square root. You do need to know how to do the command. So you need to do math.sqrt. You probably have seen this on a calculator somewhere. Maybe. But I'm pretty sure you have. So please just remember that it's math.sqrt. The next thing that we're going to be doing is we're going to do math.pow. And this is raising to a power of. So if we ended up having x squared, x would go into the 8 where this a is, and the square goes here. So in the distance formula, we have y2, so we'll do center y2 minus center y1. And we're going to raise that to the second power. The next one we're going to do is we're going to do math.pow, and you're going to do center x2 minus center x1. This goes to the second power. It doesn't really matter which one is x1 and which one's y1, as long as you keep this consistent. So we're doing 2 minus 1, 2 minus 1. If we do 1 minus 2 and 1 minus 2 here, it works exactly the same because we're raising it to the power. And it gets rid of the negative. So don't really worry about that. So this is our distance formula here. Now, to determine if a circle is intersecting or inside of another one, we're going to look at the radiuses. If we do the radius 1 plus the radius 2, if this number is greater than the distance, so if this is greater than the distance, then that means we are inside of the circle. So if the distance is greater than those two added together, they're not touching. So they are touching, they are inside of each other. So we're going to surround that with an if statement. We're going to say the count clicks is equal to 1 when they are touching. Let's check this out. It's going, let's close that out and try that again. So here it comes. And by the way, applets do that every so often. And it turns blue. But it doesn't unturn blue. I could click it and it turns different color, but it doesn't turn automatically to something else. So I'm going to close that. And the way that we're going to have that turn to something else is we're going to use an else statement. Think of this as a catch-all. So if this is true, then do this. And we use the else as otherwise, count clicks is equal to 2. So let's run this again. So we start off at pink because we're not touching, we're touching and it's blue, we're no longer touching, it's pink. So that's it. So things that you need to know. Big takeaways from this particular lesson are the math.pow and the math.square root. Add those to your arsenal of tools that you can use to figure out different things. Now, I did the distance formula for you. That right there is very useful. Know your distance formula. Know your math formulas if you do know them, because they can help, especially when we're drawing things on the screen and getting movement going on. This is very, very important if we're doing applets or even visual programming. On the AP exam, not so important, but still math and square root are, so you might need to use those at a particular point in time. So thanks for watching. Good luck on your assignment, and I'll see you next time. Bye.